Hansen here from NFL Red Zone. I hope you're checking out 1 hour of 5 Yard Rush, one of the best podcasts on NFL football in the UK.
Good evening and welcome along to our flagship show here at 5 Yard Rush. I'm his host, Dan, and I am joined by the big man himself, Murf. Good evening, Murf. How are we doing?
Oh, evening, mate. Yeah, mate. It's all right, isn't it? Mate, I'm quite enjoying the fact it's like 7, 8, 9 o'clock, and it's still a bit of daylight.
Still daylight, right?
Yeah.
It's still warm as well coming home.
Mate, beautiful. You know, you can't.
It makes putting my kids to bed hard though, because they go, "We're on about it's bedtime. It's still sunny."
Absolutely, man. Mate, they just decide they're going to master it and just use it as a bit of escapology, bless them. But yeah, man, it's all cracking. I'm looking forward to tonight's show. Should be a good crack. We might be able to get a few friends on and have a giggle.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. So we're going to run through a 12-team mock draft. We did one just before the NFL draft about the rookies going in there. So we figured we'd have a look at what a redraft mock draft looks like. I guess some people will be starting those kind of things up now. Maybe looking at some sort of mocks for their charity competitions that are coming up. I've seen SFB invites out and our own FFCC, which I know we'll get onto later. There's some invites being sent out, and you'll drop that in later, I'm sure, Murph.
Yeah. And you know, we were gonna have a few evening Jack. We were gonna have Tom on. Tom unfortunately can make it. He's got a big project going on, so he does send his apologies. He will be on at some point. I know we've kind of teased it a couple of times. It's going to happen. He did send me a massive apology, and so we've pivoted to a mock draft. Like you said, I think it's a good exercise because it's not even just the rookies. You know, we've had a few players change teams since we did this. You know. We've got Marcus Hollywood-Brown is now an Arizona Cardinal, and that's because
AJ Brown
because D-Hop is now suspended for 6 games. Yeah, as you're saying, we've got AJ Brown's an Eagle. So we've got a few interesting situations going on, and
I'm intrigued those players with question marks. You know, like the Alvin Kamaras and the Michael Thomases, and because the value's there if they're on their game, but
absolutely,
where are people quite gauging them in a redraft system right now will be interesting to see. So you're able to.
I'm going to share the screen now. So
you're able to share the screen. I'm going to hit randomize on our draft.
You get the randomizer going.
The randomizer is done. I've gone from 1 to 12, and Murph's sitting at 11. Look at that, Murph. We can have some fun on the turn of this.
Oh, mate, let's tear up the turn. Do you know what? For the purposes of this, that's not great for us because it's basically going to be quite crap because you and I are going to be picking 4 picks in a row. But regardless, we'll make the most of it. And do you know what? Hopefully, through the evening, we're going to have a couple of these people, if they're free, jump on. Yeah. We'll bring on. We'll get the first.
Andy's hoping to come along. Andy's at 1, which will be interesting. We've got either end there.
Yeah, I think what we'll do, we'll get Andy on once we clear round 3. Once he's done his 3rd pick, I think we'll bring Andy on because I don't think that's going to be too long. It's going to be a few minutes. So we'll bring Andy on and he can talk through his first 3 picks because I'd like to get him on when he's sort of done a few picks. And then that way it won't put him on the pressure of doing it live because 10 seconds per pick, he won't have long.
Well, we have this, we're trying to figure out, and we had a couple of autos last time, trying to look at a list of a queue and pick players and work out what's going on whilst we're trying to host the show. It's fun. It's good fun.
It is. So. I do think it will slightly even out better this time. I think there's been a lot more drafts since the ADP data should be slightly better than it was the last time we did this when it was a bit ropey when we did this. But I do think people like D-Hop could obviously fall higher than he should. I think he's the only one that's got a really wonky ADP still. But I think everyone else has started to correct a little bit. I still think there's some value.
Kind of 8th or 9th in startup. So for a redraft and missing half a season, we're probably going to be looking at what, the 12th round?
No, I think he'll go earlier than that. But yeah, I do. I do think he goes earlier than that in redraft. I think people around the 8th or 9th will start to pull the trigger on him because he's going to be an elite producer. It's 6 games. So you're looking at 9 games of 10 games of elite production potentially.
Depending where the bye week is. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll know next week when his bye week is. If his bye week falls in those first 6, 7 weeks, in fact, they're not because they're playing in Mexico, aren't they? So they'll have a week 12 bye.
Well, that's not far travel to Mexico, so they may not. They might not.
They might opt, but I wouldn't. Yeah, don't be too sure until they got a week 12 bye. But we'll see.
Fine. I'm going to hit start on this then, Murf. Should we get the ball rolling?
Let's go, my friend. In fact, mine hasn't even updated. Mine still has you at 1, so I need to quickly opt out and then opt back in.
Right, you've got 30 seconds.
I'm in. Don't worry.
Bosh, mock is started. And we're going to have that noise all day again. Here we go. And he's off and running. Derrick Henry, first out the bag.
Okay. There we go.
Interesting.
So we'll see what people are doing. Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor. I think people are following the ADP here. And there we go. There's Josh Allen off the board. It's not bad.
It's a super flex draft, so
I was going to say, I was waiting to see when these QBs would come off the board. McCaffrey there was the third running back off the board.
I'm okay with that. Just I thought I'd see more QBs early on. It's not quite panning out though.
Oh, come on, dude.
No, we'll see what's going to happen. There's a clear pivot point for me in redraft, which we're going to see at some point between now and when I pick. There's a couple of timeouts here. So Devontae Adams off the board. That's probably not what you want in the first round. So there is it. There, the Justin Herbert for me was kind of like this pivot pick. So, so Najee off the board. So I'm going to go Joe Mixon here.
Nice.
Yeah, I just think because unless you do something I don't expect you to do.
Wow.
Then I think there you go. Stacey's dialed in.
Wow.
You did do something like you went double QB there. I wasn't quite expecting you to go double QB, so I did anticipate you wrong slightly there. I'm not unhappy.
I think them 6 probably sit on their own, and the chance to bag 2 of them in a super flex.
Yeah, I know. I get it. It's a great idea
on the turn, not knowing when everyone else will pick through.
No, I completely get it. 100%. People will probably question why I took Brady over Rodgers and Burrow,
because he'll perform better for fantasy.
Exactly that. I'm not buying. His ADP is too low right now. People need to autocorrect that ADP. I have him higher than Burrow. I have him higher than Rodgers.
I think you may have made it back to you if you'd have waited on it, perhaps.
Never. No way. No.
We've only seen Burrow, Rodgers, and Dak go.
No, I can't see it. I really can't. I think you'll see others go in this round. But if not, then I don't mind. Listen, I think in the Superflex, you go. He would have gone over Hurts. I think that's a given here. I think Kelsey, that's great value here. Let's get Andy in because Andy's made his first 3 picks.
I was saying, Lewis has said in the chat already that Tom Brady wouldn't have made it back to you.
No, I didn't think he would. So Andy's here joining us. Andy, you've picking at the 101. So you have avoided. You've just skipped quarterback. You've just decided to bin it off. Talk us through your strategy, mate.
You're
on mute, mate.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right.
That's all right. We're only live. Don't worry about
it. I think for me, because I was number 1 overall, I had to get a running back or wide receiver. And I think Derrick Henry, for me, if he's healthy next year, I think he's an absolute brilliant shout. And then quarterbacks I wanted were all gone, like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers were all gone. So for me, I think there's more value in terms of the quarterbacks that are left to get them maybe in the 5th or 6th rounds. And I've got one in mind, but I'm not sure if he'll still be there by the time my next pick is.
Who? Well, yeah, I was saying better not say because people will be watching.
Yeah, feeding my players.
There are. I think you're going to get a run of QEs here now. I think now you go. Yeah, you're going to start seeing.
I'm quite happy having 2 in the bag now, though.
Absolutely.
Also, there is a player in another position that he has gone. I wanted Mark Andrews. I've just seen he's gone. So
it's 10 seconds per pick, mate. So you haven't got too long. But yeah, listen, you got Gibson, Henry, you got Hill. You got a solid core there to start with. But you are
the quarterback's gone. I wanted Derek Carr. That was what I had in mind.
Yeah, no,
I have to really just. Who's left? Who's even left now? Oh my god! I mean, Kirk Cousins, the second person on the list. It's not great, is it?
Yeah, you have fallen off a cliff here. This is the risk of not going. You're not alone here. There is another player in here who hasn't got.
There's 2.
There's a couple that haven't gone QB.
Oh, no.
Four teams
QB,
haven't gone QB yet.
Yeah, 4 teams without QB.
And then I was go for. Oh my god! Oh, I've absolutely bottled this.
Let's see this.
He's
Mike
not
Evans.
Too bad. That's fine by me. That's good. I'm gonna have to go and get. I'm gonna have to risk it. I'm gonna have to go just get another wide receiver.
1 second.
That's so tense. Oh my god!
I know you get no time here to think about these sorts of things.
That selection is
Reece Hall, there we go. First rookie off the board at the 5.02.
Which is later than I thought with the amount of running backs ahead of him.
Yeah. I do think that's definitely a small surprise there, but not.
RB 19 off the board.
Yeah. All right. That's very late. I didn't think he was RB 1, 2, 3. 18. Yeah, RB 18. That's quite crazy. James Conner as well. That's quite late and all. There's a few here that have gone quite late. This has put me in decision center here. I'm gonna take Dan's favorite player because it's gonna annoy him.
He is at the minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I knew he wouldn't give him back. So I better grab him now. There's no way Michael Pittman was coming back. I was like, I'll take him now. Just to really annoy you.
I know, right? I thought one on Michael Pittman. And I'm actually right up on his teammate as well, Alec Pierce, this year.
Come on, dude.
I'm not sure.
When we see QBs, look, still no QBs.
No, I know. I feel like these teams have got no QB here.
The one with no QB other than Andy's on auto, not arrived for us. So that would explain that. It's just Andy without a QB now. Andy
in the auto. Yeah, Andy in the auto. There's always one that's always on auto. You tell people it's 10 seconds per pick. It's a live draft. They go, yeah, I've never done a live draft. Exciting. And then they go and skip half the draft. There you go. Andy, you do a podcast. Well, tell everyone about your podcast.
So I do 2
Hold on, pick first, Andy.
Actually,
yeah. Let's wait for every...
Oh, damn. Can't let me have any fun.
I'm going for a risk with my quarterback. I'm going for a risk.
He's picking 2 out of match with Hill.
Okay, that's fine. It did pick it. I was worried it wouldn't pick it for a second. I'm going to pick my favourite player for my team. Bit of a risk, probably taking him.
Come on, dude.
Oh, bugger. Again, it's so hard to do it in that quickly. That's not the player I wanted. But
that's why you've got to do it on your phone. You've got to do it on your phone because you can just literally press the button. It's much harder.
I've got a phone, iPad, and
so hard.
So Andy, tell us about your two podcasts. Sorry,
Yeah, so one's purely football, so I'll like European football. So I do one that's purely about Premier League and Champions League, things like that. And then my other one is we do a mixture of sports. So my mate Ryan, who I do it with, he does F1 boxing. We do football as well, but also our other podcast, other sport we do on the podcast is NFL. So we do one. It's called Euro Trips, but the podcast we call is called Across the Pod. So play on across the pond.
Like it.
It's been a bit quiet recently because obviously it's been the off season and I've had university to focus on. But we do every week. We review each week in the NFL. So we go through the news. We go through the biggest headline games. So yeah, it's good chat. We've had some good guests on. We've had people like Hannah Wiltz, people such as Ash in the NFL. Mixtures really. Nat Coon's been on as well. So we've had some really good guests on the podcast. I'm hoping to be in America for next season. So I'm hoping to bring some podcasts next season actually from the States.
Nice.
That's amazing. So where I can take it, people can just find it on any podcast app. So just remind everyone what the names are.
So yeah, the podcasts are called the Hair Dry Treatment Podcast, which is our football podcast. And then the other one, which I do, is called Euro Trips, and that's with a Z rather than an S. And that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, RSS, all the various podcast networks that you can find.
Awesome. What we're going to do, we're going to let you pick here, and then
what's going on here?
You went on auto.
Oh no.
Oh mate. Well, you stacked a tight end.
Tight ends galore. Oh my god.
How did he not know he was on auto? Oh,
because you made him talk about his pod. I distracted him for the last minute and a half.
That's what I'll blame it on. That's horrendous. I got 3 tight ends now for like the what's that famous clip with the Jets fans when they go 6 tight ends? I feel like that at the moment. Oh,
You're the Chicago Bears. You got more tight ends and you do viable pass catches. I love it, and it's just mate.
I mean, I love Gesicki anyway. That's fine, but to have Dawson Knox as well, it's that's horrendous. Not gonna lie.
It's just what you wanted. It's just what don't even lie. It's just what you wanted.
I was really searching for that tight end room to be all mine.
And you nailed it. And you can't go wrong.
I have to go for a risky pick next then.
Well, I just realised we might have to do a show live from an aeroplane in November because that'd be a Monday night.
Oh my word! Yeah, I think we'll probably do it Tuesday. Tight end with QB upside, Taser.
I
can tell you now, he will not play tight end this year. Sean Payton is not there. He's not going to play tight. He's not going to play quarterback. Sorry, he'll play tight end. He's not going to play quarterback.
You wouldn't be surprised to see him get a few goal line rushes.
Oh yeah, listen. When I say he won't play quarterback, he will play some snaps at quarterback, as in like maybe 5.
Take some wildcat snaps.
Yeah, but he's not going to be like he's not going to play games.
He's the only tight end that's going to give you goal line carries, then, right?
Rob, sorry, not sorry. Taking Patterson there.
Patterson in the 10th. What's that? About a 5 or 6 round improvement on last year.
Yeah, well, and I think he's a steal there. Plus, he's got dual eligibility, so that always helps my team. Yeah. Could play him in both. Kicker! Oh, look at the kicker!
Oh, come on, dude!
Justin Tucker, the kicker. There we go.
Oh, no. What's going on?
Double kicker! Double kicker!
Andy, you need to set a little queue up now while it goes away from you. And then just hope someone's on it when you get back.
Andy, I think we better let it go because you've got to salvage this team. And we'll try and get someone else on. But, mate, it's always a pleasure. And as I said, I know I'm trying to come on your pod whenever we can make the dates work. Let's get it done because
100%.
Mate, you're doing some cracking stuff, mate. So appreciate you joining in, and yeah, we'll chat again soon.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Andy.
Mate, thanks for taking part. If nothing else, you've been brilliant comedy value with your 3 tight ends, 2 kickers picks.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, no worries.
Look at that. This is why you come on the pod. You don't get to draft a good team. You just get to be the butt of our jokes, I guess.
Maybe we need to pre-draft next time and just discuss, perhaps.
Absolutely.
Oh, bit of a stretch here, but it's a turn, isn't it?
Do it. Oh, you did. You did take James Cook. I didn't think you were going to then.
Yeah. ADP wise, there's not else.
Mate, I was going to do it, so I don't blame you. I think it's
I've
fine.
only got too early on. Nothing else, so I'm shooting upside on that one.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you in the slightest. I think it's more than reasonable. I just a bit not shocked, just a bit gutted, I guess.
Who else is there around this ADP at the minute? We're looking at Ronald Jones, Gaskin.
Yeah, I mean, you're shooting for handcuff upside. So
someone took Chris Carson, which I can't believe, but they always.
I can. I think he's worth a spin. But this is why, and I talk about this in the playbook this year. This is why I think you've got to hammer running back, because if you're sitting here without that many running backs at this stage, what you've got is just literally no hopers, in the sense of there's probably 1 or 2 sort of viable fantasy QBs running backs out there, but there's not that many.
Yeah.
I think you're in real trouble if you're sitting here trying to pick the bones of what's left on here. So,
and how many would you recommend kind of aiming to have now? You've got.
I think 5 is kind of where you want to be. Yeah, I think 5 is where you want to be at this stage. I kind of
like then.
I mean, I kind of slightly, well, at least 4. I think 4 minimum. I think if 4 minimum at this stage is fine.
I've got 3, and I've got my eye on 2 more to come.
Yeah, I knew you were going to take Gage though as well. So
I'm going to take 1 now.
Yeah,
and I'm going to maybe stall on the other.
I need to scroll the board down.
Yeah, right. I'm going to hope one of them gets back to me, but we shall see.
There we go. That should be a slightly better view. So, getting towards the bones of this, is Lewis going to come on?
Lewis, hopefully. He said he would.
Join.
But,
yeah, someone to scroll the page down. Yeah, this is what happens when you're trying to talk about the show and pick and control the screen. So yeah, I've screwed up it. It's interesting. Like, we're going to go through this team by team like we did last time because we do have some time. So I know this is going quick and people can't see the board as brilliantly. I'm going to try and zoom in once we talk about each team. Well, I know we've not talked about as many picks here. We've had a little tight end run here come off the board, which makes sense.
Someone like Luke with 3 tight ends. Just the one for Lewis, and that's Gronkowski. He's not got a side.
Yeah, I think he signs. I think that's a.
I think he signs as well, but
I think that's a pretty safe pick.
There he is. Get him on. Let's ask him, shall we?
Here he is.
Come on.
Lewis, how's it going?
Not bad, you?
Yes, good,
Very
sir.
good, mate. Very good. We're just debating your one tight end strategy of Rob Gronkowski. Feel confident with that, or?
I've just altered Robbie Anderson when I was going on here. I was going to pick another tight end, man.
It's our fault again, then.
Mate, I don't mind that.
I mean, I don't have to draft a kicker next, I suppose. So,
no, absolutely not. Although I am stuck now who to get for my last pick here.
I'm wash my hands. I'll worry. Don't bother. No need.
I'm gonna do something I'm gonna regret.
4 QBs you gone with?
Yeah, there's a reason for this. I think there's a couple of teams here that are some QB light, and I feel like he is the last viable QB in this draft. So I'm hoping that people were kind of sniffing around thinking, I'll take Drew Lock. Mm-hmm. And if I was playing this for real, right? So I'm talking in like this was a real draft.
Yeah.
I'd 100% make this move thinking I'll deal Drew Lock or I'll stash him and wait until someone panics, because I don't think there's some teams here we're starting with
Darnold's still on the board,
and he's only got one QB. Like one team's only, I think there's a couple of teams with only one QB here.
He had a couple of autos, didn't he? Bless him.
Yeah, like the guy on auto, he's only got Malik Willis. Like he hasn't got a starting QB for this year. So see Mariota there. Like I don't know how long Mariota keeps that job for. We know Drew Lock is going to play all season. So
last round they're looking. I'd have gambled on Darnold being a starter longer than Mariota.
Yeah, I would have done. I would have got
not a lot in it.
No, I just feel like with the quarterback strategy there. But look, we've gone through. So Lewis, we've got you here. Let's talk about. I'm going to do some zoom in here and see if we can get a better view of your team. Be good to talk about your team. So, what was your strategy coming into this, and what were you kind of looking?
He's only got 10 seconds to pick.
I've kind of zoomed it in quite a bit here. Lewis is here in the middle. He's got the auto button just to
the Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, so towards the middle, it was panic stations a little bit, but I was kind of playing the board, half hoping like Jonathan Taylor might drop, being super flex, and go for a running back straight off. But when 2 running backs went, I pivoted straight away. And knew I'd get Allen or Mahomes. And I wasn't expecting that many running backs to go in the first before it got back to me in the second. But I think Kamara was the safest bet at that point, although he's got obviously the legal issues.
Yeah.
And then, I think there was good value at receiver going down as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of value of receiver here. You've obviously got D-Hop here, he's got a 6-game ban. So I'm surprised you plumped him a little higher than we were just talking about this before we started, that he thought we might see him around 8.
It was between him and Allen Robinson, really, but going to the Rams now, he's an unknown. Yeah. Whereas when D-Hop's back from his suspension, you know what you're going to get. And that's why I backed it up with the safer pick of Brandon Cooks next, because you know what you're going to get out of him if it was a real league.
Yeah. And then you got Damian Harris, Kareem Hunt.
I like that
there. Brandon Cooks, who I love in the 9th round. I think that's an absolute steal. I was looking at him later. I think just before that pick. And I think I went with, I was hoping he would fall to me actually at the 9-11. But I even looked at him at 8-2 and I went with Gabe Davis for upside. But then you've gone Carson Wentz, for a third QB, pretty safe. He's not going to blow the water off. Jameson Williams, you've got a bit of rookie run here because you got Williams and you got Pierce and you got Algier.
Yeah,
what's the thinking on Pierce over Algier and going that high?
But I wasn't sure. I think Pierce has a clearer run at becoming the starter in Houston, really, than Algier has in Atlanta. Obviously, Patterson takes so much work away from whoever is going to be the lead back there. So that's why I went him there. I was thinking about Mostert actually, who went a couple picks after.
Yeah,
because I think I think he could take the job from Edmonds in Miami.
I mean, it shocked me that Gaskin went before Mostert because I think Gaskin's the clear 3. There.
Yeah, and
so I'm surprised that there. But your thoughts on Pierce? Listen, their backfield's pretty torrid, but I don't think that they're going to run the ball that much. We saw last year, and I appreciate it's a different coaching staff, but I just don't think with the backs they've got, they're going to really hammer the ball. And I saw Pierce quite a bit in college as a Florida Gator fan, and I'm just not sold he's going to be this. He might carve a fantasy relevant role, but I don't think he's going to be this sort of like. I think people love him for where he's landed, thinking, well, he could win a job there, and he might well do, but I'm not too sure. Whereas Algier, I think, has a much clearer defined role because Patterson's going to line up out wide. He's going to line up all over. Algier is very similar to James Conner. So if they can get the offense sorted and they can get close to the goal line, Algier is going to bang in 10 plus touchdowns this season. I think, the fact that they cut Mike Davis in particular, I think Algier is a steal in rookie drafts right now. And I think at 14-9, he's an absolute steal here. I'd have Algier. I'm looking at all the picks because to be honest, I was going to take him. And then I realized that I kind of had too many backs, so it didn't work for my roster construction. But I looked at, I'd have him over Pierce, I'd have him over Gaskin, I'd have him over Mostert, I'd have him over Mattison, I'd easily have him over White. Cook, that's the kind of range I think I'd think about that one. I'd probably go Cook over Algier. Carson, I'd have him over Carson. I'd have him over Ronald Jones. I'd have him over Michael Carter. I'd have him over Spiller. I'm looking at this 11th round range and I'm thinking, okay, Penny, Gordon have really clear roles. Yeah, but I mean, Michael Carter, maybe you can kind of chop it up there. But I think Algier with his touchdowns there you can kind of take that to the bank. And I think you got the last viable running back here, other than Marlon Mack, who I think is really good value at 14-3 over some of the players there. So
they also brought in Damian Williams as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I think you've smashed it there, 14-9 for Algier. I think that's a great pickup. I think you've had a decent draft. I think the problem you've got is Kamara, the legal stuff. Is he going to miss time? If he doesn't, you're sold. If you're not, you're in trouble. Debo, is he actually going to play this season? I mean, we expect him to, but there's some discontent that's going on there. D-Hop suspended 6 games. I mean, you've got a bit of uncertainty there.
Yeah, right.
This would be a stress if you had a real team here.
You didn't realise it at the time, I don't think.
No, it's a hard one to say, isn't it? Like, obviously with Dynasty, you got like the next year, but then with Redraft, you got to go for now, and it's a hard one. And 10 seconds per pick is not forgiving at all. I caught the end of the last time you done it, and I thought that looks like chaos. It's brilliant, and I've lived that now.
It is madness, but I do think it gives you it doesn't give you time to second guess yourself. You kind of just have to put your gut in. Mate, I think you've done a good job. I think you've got if your team turn up, I think that's the big
found
thing.
value because he's got the risk on every player, or not every player, but
absolutely.
The players. So if they all perform as they can, you've found incredible value. I mean, Gronkowski, if he does sign and does play, top 6, top 7 tight end. And you've got him in
I'm not worried about.
I mean, I might not even have a tight end there if Gronkowski don't return and then Thomas don't rehab that well and misses like half the season or whatever. Then I've got no kicker and no tight end.
You don't need tight end, mate. It's a relevant position in fantasy football. It's fine.
It is non-tight end premium as well set up. So
yeah, mate. I think you're fine.
Wrong.
I love the Deontay Johnson pick of 4.9. I mean, I think you've done a really good job, mate. I think that's a decent draft. Yeah, there's a bit of risk there, but you got a lot of fun there. You'd have a fun team if they all turn up. That's a fun team. Like you have that'd be a fun team to play with in a league for a year for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Especially the PPR with the running backs. I think all first three of them all catch passes.
Yeah.
That I picked. Whereas Algier was more of a ball, like he's a runner. But Kamara, obviously Kareem Hunt, they're receiving as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
High target receivers, high target running backs.
Yeah, cool.
I didn't do that on purpose. It was a happy accident, I suppose. But
they're the best kind of accidents, mate.
Nah, it's very good, mate. Tell everyone where they can find your work. You're standing in for me next week because I'm off on holiday. So, no pressure, mate.
Yeah, big shoes to fill. I'm writing for the redraft team over at 5 Yard Rush, and I do have a Substack. Elvin's one, the same as my Twitter handle, which is my little blog I've got going on. There's a few things from the draft over there, and I'll be doing some fantasy stuff and some DFS stuff through the season on that.
Awesome. Well, make sure you check Lewis out. He's producing a lot of content, a lot of great work right now. So, and he will be here next week instead of me. So, make sure you tune in and give him a lot of support. You guys you got a great topic next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. So, I look forward to tuning in. I might try and give you some abuse if I can log in live, and depends how the day's going. But I'd love to log in, watch a bit of you live, and probably give you some abuse on the way.
No, nice one.
Awesome.
Is there a number to call? I wish we were hosting a live radio show and having call-ins, because that would be a great way to generate some income. There's not. There is for those that are drafting. There is a link to the StreamYard, but feel free to, Duncan, if you're watching, type a question. I'm very happy to answer it. Well, Lewis, thanks so much, mate. Yes. Have a great evening, and nice keep an eye on Lewis and his Substack and all the work he's producing, because there's some great content there. But have a good one, mate. Thanks so much.
Nice. Thanks, Lewis.
Cheers. So,
all right.
Let's pick. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Talk me through yours then. Go on.
Do you want to do mine, or should we go team by team?
Go on then. Let's go team by team.
Let's start with Andy. So
flick over Andy. Andy started out well with a plan, and then auto.
Yeah. Listen. It's obviously risky going no QB in a super flex, but I think you get rewarded here with Jameis Winston. I think that's a really solid pick.
That's huge upside.
I think,
he would have took a second one when the Titans went, right? So let's have a look. He'd have ended up with a Matt Ryan, a Mac Jones, a Carson Wentz, somebody like that there as a QB2.
See, I think here, if you start with these five here, and there's nothing wrong with this, right? I think if you start with these 5 players here and you go Winston at the 12, I think you've got to double up here. I think you've got to forget Hawkinson, and I think you take either a Fields or a Tannehill or a Matt Ryan if you're desperate. But I think if you got Tannehill with Winston there, I think you've got a very solid anchor QB in Tannehill. Bit boring, but solid, with your upside QB in Winston. And in that way, I think you've always got an option there. And I think if you do that, those first 7 picks are about as good as you can go if you're going to pass on QB. I mean,
QB early,
I do think Gibson's a reach here. It's probably my only. I've got no issue going Henry over Taylor. I think it's a preference. It's a style. You got a 2-time rushing champion there. But, anyone could say, well, it should be Jonathan Taylor. I think you're kind of picking
redraft PPR. I'd have Henry above Taylor, and I'd probably have McCaffrey and Taylor very close together as well. Probably just edge Taylor because of the injury concerns. That's all.
I would probably have Taylor over Henry in a PPR, but I think just because it's PPR and Taylor will catch the ball and Henry won't. But I don't think there's a lot in it. That's not a radical 1-1-1-2 scenario there.
No.
Tyreek Hill at 212, decent value. Absolutely best receiver on the board at that stage. Gibson, I don't love it. I just think Gibson is too high here. I think the fact that you've got McKissick, who's already going to take work away, and they draft Robinson, who I think also is going to be part of this. I just think I look at Swift, I look at Jameson Williams, I look at Fournette, I look at Elliott, I look at Jones. I think even Montgomery, maybe even Akers, and definitely Breece Hall. I have all those players, I think, over Gibson. I think Gibson, and maybe even Connor. I think Gibson is Gibson for me is an RB2. He's an RB2. I don't think he's got RB1 upside. So you've got him here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You've taken him as the RB10. I just don't think he can return that. For Gibson to return it, he's going to need a lot of players to get injured, and for him to be fit and carry a workload.
Well, he had competition last year. They've obviously brought in Brian Robinson as well, so he's got even further competition in the backfield. Now, I think they're different players, but there's still somebody else who's going to take some snaps off him.
I think that's it. I mean, I loved Antonio Gibson coming out, and I really thought he was going to be an absolute superstar.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's panned out for him. And I look at the coaching staff and the decisions that they're making. They paid McKissick, and now they've drafted Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
That says to me there's not a lot of confidence. You know, whereas you look at other situations where they've either ignored the position completely or they've drafted someone late as a supplemental back.
Yeah.
I don't think
Swift in that instance.
It's exactly that, you know. The Bears in Montgomery, for example, you know, he's got Khalil Herbert behind him. You know, you've got a lot of players here whose situation, even Barkley, you know, Barkley and Matt Breida behind him. Like, they didn't draft another running back. There's a lot of players here who have been supported. Zeke, Fournette. I mean, Fournette, I know got Rashad White, but I don't think he's much to worry about.
No, but they lost Ronald Jones, so they just like into that hole.
It's just
you shouldn't see Fournette's workload and payload differ from last year greatly.
If anything, I think it goes up. I don't. Rashad White is not Ronald Jones. He's not going to bang the drum. Yeah, exactly. So, Evans, McLaurin. Yeah, you're not going to get too many complaints from me with those kind of picks. I mean, you could be nitpicky here and say maybe take a Higgins or Pittman over him, but I think, you know, they're all in the same sort of tier. Godwin as well, maybe, but I think you're kind of splitting hairs there. But yeah, I think if you've got QB here, obviously he doesn't plan to take both QBs, but if he gets Gesicki, even Gesicki there, I don't mind.
Yeah.
And then you take a different player here, but obviously it falls apart here because you got tight end, kicker.
Well, the first kicker he took deliberately. Let's just mention that.
Yeah, which, I mean, I hate it. I don't. I do, and sorry, Andy, but there's just no value in taking a kicker. There's no. It's just.
What's he going to earn you? 1.5 per game over somebody taking the last round?
I mean, the difference between the kicker 1 and the kicker 12 averages out between 2.4 and 2.6 points per game, and that's over the last 7 seasons.
Yeah.
So when you look at Justin Tucker, and I like Justin Tucker, and he's going to give you a top 3 kicker performance. But when was the last time he was the kicker 1? He was second last year. He was 10 points behind Nick Folk.
Yeah.
He was 7th in 2020. He was 3rd in 2019. He was 2nd in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
He was 4th in 2017. He was 2nd in 2016. Has he ever had a kicker 1 finish? 6th in 2015. I don't think we're going to go back. 7th in 2014.
2016.
No, he was
kicker 1.
No, I've got him as 2nd behind Matt Bryant. It might be because Matt Bryant is retired and not an active player.
Wow. Well,
but I've got
178. So we got 178 points that year, right?
I got Matt Bryant 179 points.
Okay. But even last year, then he finished as kicker 3 of 160. That's 18 points over 18 weeks. Point a week difference.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just not. It's not significant. He got 154 points, which that's 17 weeks. I'm gonna change it to 18. Finished the kicker 3, 162 points, as you say, last year. It's just it's fine, but you're not gaining that advantage. Again, we look at kicker 12, which was Harrison Butker, by the way, who will be drafted way higher than that. 22 points over, and he missed a game. So you add his average, it's 149. So he's 13 points. So you're not even looking at a point per game.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's just not for me. It just isn't. I'll talk about this in the fantasy football playbook, but
Daniel Carlson ended last year as the kicker one.
Yeah, he did.
He was the third from last pick in the whole draft.
Yeah, I mean, which is a great pick. If you can take a kicker, like you can't argue the value there. Obviously, it doesn't mean to go for McPherson. Fine, Desmond Ridder. No. Well, that's not his pick. I like this little run of wide receivers at the end here. I mean, Kirk,
shooting upside.
Kirk, I think there's huge upside. Beckham, depends on where he lands.
We'll play.
Sammy Watkins. I mean, why not? Listen, I know he's a bit of a running joke, but in the 14th round, I don't hate it. I've just noticed he's only got 2 running backs, so his entire roster construction is he's got 7 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 3 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks, 2 kickers.
Yeah. But you always kill a lot of it, so
yeah, no, it's hard to kill it when it's on auto. But I appreciate you taking part. We'll quickly go through Luke's. I like his team.
Luke's. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Taylor, Chase, Hurts. Hard to argue that start.
He could have an RB one there, a wide receiver one, and a tight end one, and then first 4 picks.
And QB one. Hurts was a QB one last year, so he's got a 1 in every position. Breece Hall, who I think could be special. Lance is a huge upside pick there. Could be a threat to the top 12. Thielen, I think, is great value there if he's fit. The only question with Thielen is he going to be healthy? If he's healthy, he's going to be a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 kind of player.
Then
he goes young.
Production. Yeah.
He's gone upside here with Drake London, Sky Moore. He's got Chase Edmonds there. I don't love the Ridder pick. I love Desmond Ridder. I think I'm probably Desmond Ridder's biggest fan. He's not going to start the season. Mariota will. So how long do you keep Desmond Ridder in the hope that he starts?
Looking at who went behind him, I'd have took a Davis Mills or a Jared Goff, someone that is walking into that.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, Jared Goff went 3 rounds later.
Even Drew Lock. Like, I know Drew Lock.
Mitch Trubisky and Kenny were competing for a starting place, went rounds before Jared Goff.
Yeah, which makes no sense because Jared Goff's job is safe. Again, same with Drew Lock. Like Drew Lock, when he plays, is somewhat fantasy relevant, not hugely.
I was very high on Drew Lock coming out of college, and that first year he had, and you just keep waiting for it to happen. It doesn't turn up. So,
no. Ronald Jones. I mean, like you and I have seen Ronald Jones. We know what he is. I'm not expecting Ronald Jones to do much in KC.
No,
I love the tight end upside here. I don't like 3 tight end builds in a 16 slot. It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
He's going to play one of those guys for 1 week.
Yeah, exactly that.
If this is a league where waivers are open, there's no need in my eyes.
I mean, Trey McBride, you might as well drop. You might as well drop him now. It's going to take him so long to acclimatize. There's no point in keeping
and they've got Zach Ertz there.
Yeah, exactly that. So I don't get the 3 tight end build here. I don't mind if you're going to take Irv Smith there. I think he's great upside as someone you could play in a flex. I think fine, but the Trey McBride pick kind of throws me there. Chuba, I think this is a bit of bias to rookies rookie season. Chuba Hubbard. I mean, you got a handcuff back here. I mean, the problem you've got here with this team is you got Taylor and Hall, right? If one of them goes down, you're relying on Edmonds to hopefully keep the job, which I'm not sure in Miami that's going to happen because I think that's a committee. So you got a committee back, a B back, and a handcuff as your fallback options. I think you're dicing with death there. I think QB's fine, tight end's good, wide receivers really decent. I think it's a bit thin, like 4 wide receivers. I think you need more there. I think you need 5 or 6, but especially if Moore starts out the block slow, you've got no depth. You've got Chase, Thielen, and London would be your flex here.
Yeah,
I think it's a decent starting team. I think that's really light on bench. I think that bench would have to be completely worked on the waiver wire.
He's looking to pick up that early running back, the one where someone goes down and the guy's available on waivers, right?
Yeah, he's looking at Elijah Mitchell 2022, whoever it's going to be.
Yeah. That's a point. Did Trey Sermon get drafted?
No,
I don't believe he did.
No, he's someone
so that could be your week 1 waiver pickup, right there.
I'm looking at the backs like Kyron Williams. I don't know why you pick him. Especially when you got Henderson like that. We'll get to that. Gus Edwards again. I'd be picking him up over certain players, but we digress. Let's get into Sam quickly.
Yes.
Love a 2 QB start. Then you back up with Kelsey. Gets Akers at the 410. Follows up with Clyde Hilaire. You know, people aren't going to love Clyde Hilaire, but I think he's an RB2, and you draft him as an RB2, so you can't really argue it. No. Metcalf, bit of a wild card. You got him with Robinson, a bit of a wild card, but I think you're shooting for the moon with those. James Robinson. Don't really know what we're going to get out of James Robinson this year. I think he's going to have a role. I don't think it's going to be as relevant as it has been. But if Etienne doesn't come back, then obviously it's a great pick. But I think that's probably a little early for me. Schultz, again, I'm not a lover. If you've drafted a tight end to play all season, I'm even not drafting one, or I'm taking one in the last round.
Yeah.
I think Schultz is a bit of a luxury pick here. Well, you go with Renfro.
Similar. I mean, you think on the same on tight ends. I just in the top 5, and then didn't care who was left until right at the very end. And I shot for a guy who's quite touchdown dependent, and hope he gets a touchdown the 1 week he's played, and that's cover it.
Well, that's what you need. Exactly that. Yeah. So you got Renfro, Michael Carter, Dotson, who I think there is good value. I don't like the Gaskin pick at all. I just think you get him with Mostert on the board. Gaskin's the 3, but then I love the Goff pick. I think the Goff pick here.
I love that. The value there is huge. Yeah, we said that.
Huge pick because he's your bye week. He's your bye week to Allen and Prescott play every single week. So you just need one QB to play 2 weeks a year max, and Goff will do that, and will do that fine.
And even if they're week 12 buys, he will still be starting in Detroit.
Absolutely. So you're looking at. And I like Hardman there for upside value. And Carson, as you said, kicker 1 last year, and you get him in the 16th round. It's only this little portion of the draft. This bit here is the only bit I'd sort of be a bit harsh on. But I love the rest of it. I think that's a playoff team. I think it's a playoff team. If Akers and Clyde Hilaire deliver, that's a playoff team for me. Might be slightly light at wide receiver. I think you can get one, but I think it's decent. We've gone through Lewis's team.
We did.
So let's go through this one. McCaffrey, who you love at 1.5. I think it's a little high, but fine. I think it's horses for courses. Diggs, I love there. CD Lamb, I love there. Keenan, I love there.
Would you have instead of McCaffrey? Cook, perhaps? Or would you have gone QB at 5?
Yeah, it's a tempting one between going Herbert at 5 or, to be honest, I would go Eckler for the safety. Especially in PPR. I just think because McCaffrey he's been injured the last 2, I think it's down to your style of preference, right? I think in the first round, I'm probably slightly overcautious. So I'd shoot
the upside of McCaffrey.
Yeah, which it's a strategy choice. I'm never going to kill anyone for it.
Yeah.
We know if healthy, Christian McCaffrey is a QB, is a running back 1. And could be the RB1 overall. So we know.
I also figure even if he plays 14 games, he will win you some of those 14 games.
100%.
And I'll take that. If I have to drop him for 4 of them, 3 of them, 2 of them, I'll deal with it. I'll find someone and hope to get by.
I'm 100% with you. I'm just worried he doesn't play 14 games. It's the back-to-back injury years. I'll always think, okay, I'll punt it a year and give him a restart. When you're injured back-to-back years and you miss, I think he's played, 7 games in 2 years?
7 last the year before.
Yeah. I just
including the games he went down in.
Yeah. So it's an awkward one for me. But look, I love this wide receiver run here. Solid. Yes. I love the QBs here. I think great. Miles Sanders, I think, is probably the greatest running back touchdown regression candidate I've seen in recent years.
Okay, I'm going to say I love that Miles Sanders pick.
No, that's what I mean. I love it. Positive regression. He scored no touchdowns.
They've backed him. They've strengthened the O-line and they've brought in wide receivers. Miles Sanders should get an easier running.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Miles Sanders. I meant positive regression, as in he got 0 touchdowns last year off his workload, which just isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen again.
No.
Marquise Brown, I love there at 8-8, especially when you've had this little run here. Like you've had this little run of receiver. I mean, I probably would go Cooks over Brown, but I get it. Like I do get it. I buy into the fact
over floor though, right?
Yeah, I buy it. I mean, I don't love the Taysom Hill pick there. I'll be honest with you. They've got Troutman there. Pollard, Gordon. Again, I think Gordon there at 11 is
Gordon's
great
okay.
value.
Yeah.
Oh, he's great value.
When Javonte Williams went 310, and they got the same job. They're going to have the same. Last year they had the same production. They were almost identical in terms of percentage share, carries, touchdowns, and you just got in what 7, 8 rounds later. 8 rounds later.
I don't hate it. Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, at this point, you're kind of gambling over who's left. Again, I think we've all said this. We'd have Goff, but yeah, I don't hate it. If as long as Trubisky is there until the bye weeks, if he covers the bye weeks, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Butker and Juku. I mean, it's a solid draft there. There's no real glaring errors. I think there's a lot of upside in that team. I think I would say it's probably one RB light if Pollard doesn't get the kind of role that everyone's expecting,
or CMC goes down.
Yeah, or CMC goes down.
Do okay, I guess. He's then hoping for a lot of production from his wide receivers.
Yeah, of course. So then we've got Adams here. We've got Eckler, I love there. Rodgers, I love there. Swift, I love there. Derek Carr, he's kind of missed the run of QBs there. So I'd always go Cousins over Carr, but fine. James Conner, I love there. Godwin, I love. Sutton, I love. Mike Williams, I love. Des Goddard, I love. Daniel Jones, I don't hate it there. I look at the QBs around there.
Yeah.
Michael Gallup, I love there. Tyler Boyd, I love there. Mostert, I get it. That's a really good draft. I think that's probably my favorite.
That's his RB4.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favorite draft so far. There's nothing.
We're saving the best for last. Don't worry.
Well, yeah. I just there's nothing there I dislike. I think the whole Eckler, Rodgers, Swift, Carr, Connor, Godwin, Sutton, Mike Williams, Goddard, Daniel Jones, Gallup, Boyd, Mostert, Higbee.
It feels very safe floor, but it feels a very high safe floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no real rookie that could break out. There is no real, player that can come from nowhere. But actually, almost all of them, you know what you're going to get production-wise every single week.
That's a playoff team. I'd be surprised if that team would have to have severe injuries to not make the playoffs. Let's go through Steve's team. Sour beer fan, Cook at 1-7. I think I'd have Harris and Mixon over Cook, but I get it.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, it just goes to the injuries. Because he's never around for the fantasy playoffs, but I suppose you got to get the player to get you there. Love Cooper Kupp at 2-6. AJ Brown, I mean, this is an interesting one. I just don't think he is worth that much in Philly. And I would take Allen, Johnson, Evans. I'd take those three players well over AJ Brown. I wouldn't.
Yeah, personally, I agree. I mean, we saw the wildcard game where Devonta Smith was their main target. They didn't throw the ball to him once. If they get through this season doing a similar thing, then Brown's going to really regress.
Yeah, and that's my one issue. But I love Montgomery here at 4-6. Trevor Lawrence, I think you're shooting upside there as your QB1, but I love it. Cooper, Lockett, Ayuk. I love Mac Jones at 9-7. I know he's not exciting, but he's going to be so safe. I think why not? I think you're not losing anything having Mac Jones as your QB2. I think he's going to put up, QB 15 to QB 20 points every week, which isn't sexy. It's not exciting, but it's what you need. It's solid.
They'll be in games. They'll use him. Yeah.
Yeah. Claypool, the 10-6. I think
we had 3 or 4 picks as Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Depending on their production here.
And he's a Giants fan, which is hilarious. I'm not
a fan of Claypool this year. I think maybe okay at the start of the year, but I do think he'll get beaten out to his role a little bit.
He's got wide receiver 6, so I kind of feel like you didn't need to make the pick there. I felt like if you'd gone running back there, I think of who you missed out on. Pollard, Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon there would have really upped the grade of this team. If you got Melvin Gordon over Chase Claypool, this team is significantly better. Because there's no backup to Cook and Montgomery.
No.
It's Henderson.
No, there isn't. Not early hardly
any role. And Kyron Williams who has 0 role.
Well, he's covered Henderson, isn't he? If Akers doesn't come back, doesn't play the role, he's covered with one of the Rams running backs.
Yeah.
Problem is, if they're both fit and healthy, neither of them are going to produce
enough
to warrant it, and you'll have the wrong one starting the wrong week.
And if you have Cook go down, then you've this giant size hole in this team. Yeah. I think my feelings of this team, if you gone Gordon over Claypool, would change completely. And then you just shot upside here with Freiermuth. I think Pickett gets the job at some point. You're hoping it's before the buys. But we know Jacksonville play Halloween, so you know week 8, week 9, Jacksonville going to have a bye. Could Pickett play? It's going to be close. Dicing there. And then you got Murf, which I love.
Find out this week.
Yeah, exactly that. I think it's just the running backs for me. The running backs are a huge problem. I think you've got no running back. You've got no running back up there.
Yeah,
that's your problem. And I think I think Steve's kind of banking on an injury, and if he blows all the fab and gets one, then that's a playoff team. But if not, I think it's just a bit. I just think too many wide receivers. Like you got the 5 here in the opening 8 rounds. I think you could have either sacrificed one to get something that you needed, or maybe you're gonna have to trade one. But anyway, Lost Soul Fantasy. I think he was on auto pick, so this is a hard one to judge.
He failed to turn up. Well, it gives us a bit of natural ADP, I guess, as to where some people went.
Yeah, I mean Adams is too high. Jefferson,
just quickly, Adams did go as the wide receiver 1, even off of an auto. He's not, is he? That's kind of.
I think it's just an ADP.
I was leading into that question.
No, he's not. Barkley, Waller, Dobbins, Jacobs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kenneth Walker. I think that's good. I don't mind Kenneth Walker there in the 8th round. Nope. Elijah Moore. I mean, you stuffed it at QB because he's got one QB and it's Malik Willis, who's not playing.
Yeah.
So he's got no QB this season. I mean, that team's going to lose every week.
Let's skip on to Sam then, shall we?
Yeah, Spiller's not going to play. Carson, as you said, strange pick. Julio doesn't even have a team. I mean, he's getting killed by ADP, but then that's why you turn up for this. So let's go to Sam.
Yeah.
Herbert, Chubb, Mark Andrews. I mean, Deshaun Watson I'm not sure I'm doing that with his suspension looming. But if you can survive, see, this is the thing. If you're going to draft Watson here, you have to do similar to what I did.
He's picked up Davis Mills, so he's picked the starter up just in case.
Yeah, but 6 games.
Yeah,
we're not talking about someone who's going to miss a game. We're talking about someone who's going to miss 6 games and a bye. So 7, half the fantasy regular season, your QB is going to miss here. Now, I don't hate it if you do similar, and I'm not trying to say do what I did, but even Rob's done the same. You've picked up someone reliable, and you've done the same. The last 3 teams all picked up a QB in that 7th, 8th round range. They're QB 3. And all 3 of us did this, not necessarily as insurance, but we know and understand the depth of Superflex. That you need to have a viable player every single week. If you're going to have a QB that's going to miss 7 of 14 weeks, which is what's going to happen, you have to have someone better than Davis Mills. And I love Davis Mills. I'm probably Davis Mills' biggest fan. But he's going to deliver QB 25 weeks. That's what he does. I don't hate that as your QB3 if you've got Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray and you're just going to fudge a week. I think, fair enough. But 7 games? I think this team struggles. Even though the rest of the team, like the rest of this is great. Like Elijah Mitchell, 7th round, great. Devonta Smith, 8th round, great. Devin Singletary in the 9th round, I think is amazing value.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing value. I mean, Juju I can take or leave, but whatever. I mean, Hunter Henry, 11th round. Alex Matson, 3rd round. Rodley Moore, I think that could be a great pick. Matt Gay, 15th round. I mean, Jarvis Landry begging he goes somewhere.
He'll sign somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I like the rest of this draft. There's nothing, I think it's
killed on QBs.
It's just that. It's just that, Sean Watson. If you had gone, even if you hadn't gone Watson, if you'd gone Kirk Cousins or Tua, that would be an A-star draft or an A draft. Easy. It's that Watson pick and not insuring him with anyone other than Davis Mills. I think that's your worry. So if Watson gets his 6 games that we're expecting, that team's toast. It's going to really struggle because an average team with 2 decent QBs is going to beat it. Because you've got a hole of about 10, 15 points. And I don't see in the other positions where they're going to make that up. So that's for me. Rob's team, Harris at the 110, I love. I would have taken him. Yep. Joe Burrow at the 2-3, I love. I mean, people will tell me I should have taken him over Brady, but you're not getting me off that. Javonte Williams at the 310. I personally have.
Early for me. Yeah.
Tad, not much, but I think I would have had probably the next 3 running backs over Javonte Williams.
If Gordon's only back on a 1-year deal again, are they just going to run him exactly the same as they did last year? Split that.
Yeah, I think so.
It's one of those, we spoke about it before with the receivers, where Metcalf and Lockett and Judy and Sutton take the second one. Take the second one off the board. And as we've seen, the second one come at a far cheaper cost.
Yeah, 8 rounds is huge. And don't forget, we think that Denver are going to put the ball in the air a lot more this year.
Yeah.
So I think you're looking at maybe even a slightly reduced role. So I'm with you on that. But I don't hate it. Like especially as an RB2, he's going to return RB2 numbers.
Yeah.
So he's an RB2. He's been selected as an RB2. I don't hate it. I would have a couple of other players, but
PPR
for safety
last year.
Yeah. Matt Stafford, fine. Good pick there for where you've got him. Then you've got DJ Moore. I mean, I'm not the biggest DJ Moore fan. I definitely would have Pittman and Judy over Moore, but you horses for courses. Waddle, I think Waddle is really interesting because I think he could still be very, very good.
I think he could, even with Hill.
But
the distraction of Hill will actually help him, I believe, to a certain extent. I think he'll get less opportunities, but I think when he gets the ball in his hands, he's going to have a far greater opportunity to open the field up.
Absolutely. Treylon Burks.
Yards after catch on Jalen Waddle this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. Treylon Burks, I think is great there.
Yep.
Maybe slightly early, but then I'm looking at Darnell Mooney. I think if you even swip that, like you've got those 2 players with Matt Ryan there, like I don't think it matters like the ADP here because you've got those 4. I think are great. It's a good wide receiver room, and you've got Matt Ryan as your QB3, solid. Like it's what we just talked about. You've got a QB there that you step in for a week or 2. We know Stafford's got a bad back. If he has to miss a game or 2, you've got someone there you can stick in a starting lineup and not worry about it. Dylan for upside, Stevenson for upside. I mean, you've gone with the upside backs here after you've got your main 2.
Yeah.
I do think you probably needed a bit more of a role player.
I think he has in Marlon Mack, maybe, especially early in the season.
Maybe he has. Yeah,
I think Marlon Mack's going to lead that field, and somebody like Pierce might come through, but Marlon Mack's going to start that backfield.
I probably agree with you there. And then George Pickens here, I think is worth an upside shot to take. I'm not taking him over. I'm not taking him over Gage. And there's probably a couple of other receivers, but I think once you're in this range, like I think you're shooting for the moon, right? And I think that's what Rob's doing here.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about his team is 3 tight ends. I don't get why you go 3 tight ends.
Chucking a Jarvis Landry instead of Jelani Woods.
Yeah, exactly that. I just think
because if Jarvis Landry lands somewhere big, then that's a huge pick there.
Well, there's a few, even Trey Sermon there, right? We got quite a few players we've talked about who didn't get drafted.
Yeah.
Javonte Williams, even like as a role playing running back. Jamison Crowder at Buffalo. Alan Lazard, Marvin Jones. These are the sorts of players.
Curtis Samuel not drafted.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. You've got a few players here that you could have taken, and that's it. I mean, it's hard to kill a 16th round pick, but I don't get the 3 tight end philosophy at all. My team, I mean, I thought you would only go with one of these QBs. I mean, I'm not unhappy to get Brady. Don't get me wrong, but my thinking was rather than take the QB here, I'll take Mixon. Because for me, he was the best back left on the board. I'm happy with Brady. I think Brady finishes above Burrow and Rodgers. Fournette, I think we've seen that he's got league-winning capability. I'm more than happy to have him as my RB2. Russell Wilson, again, it was kind of like between Russell Wilson and Stafford, and it was just a gut choice that I think Russell Wilson's just a little bit safer fit.
Yeah.
So I'm quite happy to have that as my anchor 4. I'm with you. I love Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's necessarily a wide receiver 1, but I think he's close enough. I think he's a top 15.
He gives you enough floor to chase upside elsewhere.
And I think that's what I kind of planted myself in for. He was 16 last year. I think he goes up this year with a better QB in Matt Ryan.
Yep.
I think he can be on the fringes of that wide receiver one conversation for me.
I agree.
Travis Etienne, I think he's going to have a role, a big role. So I've gone for a bit of upside there. Tannehill, just to secure if something happens to Brady or Wilson, I've got someone who was a QB1 last year, so I can just pocket that one away.
Yep.
And then, as you see, I've chased upside here. Gabe Davis and Rashad Bateman. I really tossed up Bateman and Woods. And to be honest, I can't really fault him one. I just wanted to go with the pure upside of Bateman. I just think there's a lack of there's so many vacated targets. Mind you, there is on both teams. But Bateman doesn't have the competition anymore. So I think Bateman could go. He could go to the moon. He could be a bust. He could go to the moon. I've got him as my wide receiver 3. I'm quite all right with that from some of the players I picked afterwards. CPAT dual eligibility at 10. Rashad Penny was it's kind of an indecision pick there. I kind of thought, well, I think he can probably get the early work. It's by RB5. I kind of think, well, there weren't many backs in this draft other than Algier I really were interested in, so I thought I'll just take Penny here. Ertz, and you notice I've only gone one tight end because I just don't care. Ertz will be my tight end every single week. He'll put up X amount of points. It's not sexy, but it'll be fine. Gage for this floor. Myers, I think, is going to have a breakout year. And I took Patrick for fun because I think he could be a really interesting.
I like Tim Patrick, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's my wide receiver 6, right? So he's someone that if it pans out, then he's trade.
He builds that rapport early.
Yeah, exactly. He could win a job. Listen, everyone's got a role to win there. I think he's someone who could. We've seen it over the years. He can produce fantasy relevant weeks, especially in bye weeks. He could be very useful. And we've talked about Drew Lock. I took him because teams didn't have a QB, and I figure I can trade him or stash him. Like whatever happens, if something goes calamitous wrong, Drew Lock will be there. So I think it's a solid team. I think it has some upside shots in it. I think you could argue the wide receiver room's a little light, but I think that's why I went with 6 wide receivers because I think they'll put enough points back for me.
Fair.
And your team, talk about your team.
Yeah, so as you said at the start, I took those 2 QBs. I think there's a clear 5 at the top. 2 of them are still on the board. Super flex. I'll take 2 early. Bag them. Thank you very much. Coming around, then I realised it left me a bit behind the curve because there was a lot of running backs went out more than I thought. So positional scarcity. Hey, I'll take Zeke and Aaron Jones, 2 RB1s. Sit with 2 QB1s 4 rounds into a draft, providing they stay healthy. I didn't realise I was starting to lose out. So I started shooting upside with wide receiver. That's the only thing I'm worried about. All of my wide receivers, to a certain extent, are all hopefuls. I'm not the biggest Judy fan. He's yet to deliver for me, but I understand the potential. So I shot the upside. Kittle, safe bet. I don't normally take a tight end that early, but
I don't think it's that early.
5 in the 6th round. Yeah, that's the only reason I did it. It was a 6th round. 3rd or 4th round, wouldn't touch him. And that's where I expected him to go. 6th round, I'll take him, I'll bag him, I'll forget it for the next 10 rounds. Thank you very much. Again, similar to you guys, Zach Wilson, again, as a QB, not only is he guaranteed starting role, but also with the additions they've had, I think has a lot of upside. So Jackson and Kyler can both suffer from an injury. So I'll gamble. I'll put someone in there that might perform. And then by this stage, I'm well behind on wide receivers. So I doubled them. Garrett Wilson, Robert Woods, Chris Olave, and DJ Shark. Robert Woods, potentially if he comes back from injury, fine, could be good. Olave and Wilson, 2 rookies that I'm quite high on. I hate picking rookies in redraft necessarily without the stability of a floor before them. But I had to gamble at this stage on something else. And then DJ Sharp. I like DJ Sharp, always have done, and hope he still delivers. But then now I'm miles behind running back. So after what is it? Yeah, so I took Olave, right? 10-1. And I looked at the board and went, there's CPAT, AJ Dillon, Melvin Gordon. I'll take either of those 3 that make it back to me. And not one of them made it back to me. So at that stage, I'm like, man, what do I do now? In fact, 2 went in the next 2 picks. So James Cook, I'm hopeful, will have a role. I think he goes straight in above Zach Moss behind Singletary. Rashad White, again, I'm hoping he can have a catching back role. And I didn't know Naheem Hines late just because we've seen the injuries. He is a pass catching back. It only takes an injury to Taylor, and I think Hines becomes relevant. So I'm okay with that there.
I think Hines in the 15th is a great pick. I think for me, he's your RB3 on this roster.
Yeah,
I think Cook could be. I think Cook could get there.
Yep.
I think Rashad White is the only pick of yours. I don't get it. I just don't see a role for Rashad White this year. I think for me, he's very similar to Keyshawn Vaughn. I can't see this team trusting a rookie.
So my problem with Rashad White, I knew I needed a running back. He fell at the top of the ADP. The 10-second timer maybe put me off. If I'd have had time, I think I'd probably gone Marlon Mack or Algier, looking at who went after him. The problem is I got hampered by time and trying to host a show and have a phone, an iPad, and a laptop on the go at the same time. So.
I think your team is like, listen, you've got 2 top 5 QBs. You're anchoring the whole position there. I think you've got 2 top 12 running backs.
Yep.
So you've got 2 top 12 running backs
and
a top tight end. And okay, you might be slightly short. I think Robert Woods is great value in the 9th round. I think him and Judy is your wide receiver 1-2 combo. I don't think you've got a wide receiver. I think you've got a very similar problem to me. I don't think you've got a wide receiver 1. I think you've got 2 high-end RB wide receiver 2s.
Yep. But what I'm hoping, I guess, is one of my 3 rookies actually becomes that guy.
And then if that happens, then you're all the way to the bank. So I get it. You've really bought on the upside. I think it's just running back. It's just one short, as you said. I think if you'd sacrificed Olave for CPAT, this team would be so much better. Like that it's just that one choice is pivotal, and you know it, but it is it's the pressure of a 10-second timer, isn't it? But no, I love it. I think if I'm looking at these drafts, I still think it's probably Adam's team. I probably look at and go, that's the standout for me.
I agree. It does.
That's probably the standout.
I think I'd beat him in the championship, but Adam, not a bad job.
No. I think Rob's team is. I think if I'm looking at the standouts, I think Adam's team is probably my favorite. Rob's team is really high. It's just that it's a 16th round pick. I can't really kill him,
and it's what you get for Javonte Williams as well in the 3rd. That's
exactly. I think the fact that you, me, and Rob have all followed quite similar strategies. We both went 2 running backs, 2. We both went 2 running backs, 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, first 4. And we also got 1 wide receiver in the 5th. Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it really tough as well, because you've got 3. This is so rare, right? And you analyze this draft. You've got 3 teams on a very, very similar strategy in their top 5 rounds. They've all built a very, very similar team. So we're all cannibalizing value from each other. Whereas the rest of the board, you don't really have those trends. It's kind of a strong, it's a strong mix across the board. You got, this one's probably the closest in these 2 slots, and this is why I think, I'm not making excuses why Adam's able to pick up some value here, because he's picking around teams that have just on a completely different strategy to what he's on, so he can just pick the value. And again, I think Lewis has done the same. I think Lewis has picked value because the teams around him are on just a different strategy. But yeah, really interesting exercise. I loved it. I think this is I think we'll definitely
come back and do some more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone that helped out and joined us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Andy and Lewis for joining us.
Thanks
to everyone who drafted. Great draft, a lot of fun. I'm going to post this on Twitter. I'll try and find a way and post it on Twitter so everyone can watch it, and then obviously try and watch the show and tune in.
Awesome. Murf, you've got something else to discuss talking of drafting, right? 5 yards.
Yeah, so the FFCC, we talked about this last week. I have about 90 spots left. I do have people waiting, by the way. I'm going to do 10 spots a week between now and the end of June.
Nice.
They're going to be not giving away, but just I'll be assigning 10 a week. So if you want in, apply. If you can just search Google for FFCC 5 yard rush and the page will come up. But yeah, just find that link and you'll be able to just fill in the form. Obviously, if you donate, there's a minimum sort of donation, like £10, $15. If you donate that, that's always going to help your cause to get in. We've done really well with the donations. We're about 25%, so we've raised almost £1,200, which is about $1,500 already. So it's really good to see the money pouring in. It's going to be a lot of fun. The names we've got in this are incredible. So I can confirm that even from when I sent the tweet out earlier in the week, some of the people that we've managed to add are just absolutely nuts. You're in it. I mean, I don't need to go any further, really, do I? I mean, play because Dan's in it. No, so these are some of the people I've managed to cajole into coming. John Daigle, formerly of NBC, now of 4x4, is joining us. James Ho is joining us, formerly of NFL Network, and now of DirecTV. Bob Harris. Now, Bob Harris is a football diehards. He's like one of the absolute legends of fantasy football. He's almost like one of the co-creators of fantasy football, really. He's been that long. You've got Andy Singleton, who's last year's champion. Yeah. He is returning to defend his title. We have Joe Dolan, who's been on the show. We have Justin Boone. We have Joe Pisapia, Brian Drake, Jim Coventry of RotoWire. We have Bob Lung. We have Ben Isaacs is coming in. He's not obviously a huge fantasy guy, but he is going to play. Neil Dutton, probably sort of the father of fantasy football here in the UK in terms of one of the UK guys. He works for Rotoviz and Number 5 Player Profile. He's an immense guy. So many great people from the NFL community in the UK have signed up. It's just amazing to see who's in this. So yeah, some great names, some great friends. Really excited. There's loads of other analysts who write for some of your favorite sites. We've got people from Ball Blast, people from Fantasy and Frames, people from Fantasy Wildcard of site. All the Fantasy Wildcard boys are in it.
We've got Jack, who obviously won the inaugural one, who joins us every week.
The inaugural one. Got a couple of guys from Triple Play Fantasy. I was on their podcast. It's going to be coming out in a few weeks. It's behind the analyst kind of thing, so it's less fantasy football, more about my journey into fantasy football. I make some controversial takes on there as well. We've got some other crew from Fantasy Pros, IDP guys. There's just so many people. It's awesome. We've got people from like 30 countries joining in. So do sign up, do donate. And get involved because it's a great tournament. I love doing it. And it's knockout. So
it's different as well. Yeah, that's it.
It is different.
Awesome.
So and then just keep donating and keep tuning in. And I'm gonna leave you in peace for next week. And look forward to what you've got. And I'll watch from afar. As I said, I won't be here next week. I'm on holiday, so I'm going to have a nice, relaxing week. Mate, I mean, it's Centre Park, so I think it's going to be hard work.
I love it. It is hard work, but it's good fun. Kids will love it, mate. That's the key.
Absolutely, my man. So I leave the show in capable hands. Any news on the UK FFC?
Yeah, we're down to around 20 or so tickets left. Looking at getting some more announcements coming out in due course. That's the 16th of July. We've got panels of speakers. We've got stalls set up. We've got a sleeper competition just for attendees to have. We've got a charity raffle on the day for Mind Charity. All proceeds from the day go to Mind over costs. So it is a proper fundraising day. So it's in London. Follow @_UKFFC. All the details, all the link for tickets and everything is on there for you guys to find. Any questions, just give us a shout. We'll ask them away.
Lovely. Well, let's end it here. Thanks very much for tuning in and enjoying, and I hope you've learned a lot from this draft, and I'll post a picture of it so everyone's got it. And until next week, don't forget, as always, keep rushing.